Welcome to the Copperfield Electric Podcast. We are undertaking a really crucial deep dive today. We're focusing on preparedness, for when the power grid inevitably lets us down, especially with storm season here. And, well, the grid in Southern California can get stressed sometimes. Emergency power planning isn't just nice to have, it's becoming essential. Our mission today, to take all this technical info and turn it into a clear, actionable guide just for you.
Exactly. And we're distilling this straight from the resources provided by Copperfield Electric. They're your trusted 24-hour electrical pros right there in Orange County. We want to cut through the jargon, give you that comprehensive roadmap, everything from, figuring out what you actually need to setting it up and running it safely and legally.
Absolutely. Because when the lights go out, the last thing you want is panic or realizing your expensive generator isn't actually up to the job. We're diving into the kinds of details Copperfield Electric deals with daily. Emergency calls, panel upgrades, EV charger installs, you name it, across places like Irvine, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Newport Beach. Just so you know, they're family-owned, fully licensed. That's CA LIPAL Day LIPE hashtag 1094740. Okay, so let's jump right into the very first step, the most important one, really. Okay, let's unpack this. I think a lot of people, when they think emergency power, they immediately picture going to the store, right? Picking out a generator. But you're saying that's actually starting in the wrong place. The first step isn't buying gear, it's math. Doing an assessment.
It is. It's the step everyone wants to skip because, let's face it, it sounds boring. But it's absolutely critical. The concept is simple. You need to know your loads. And that means starting with a really short list, just the must-run items, because backing up your entire house, that takes serious industrial-level power. Most people don't need that and, frankly, can't afford it. If you don't do the math, you either buy something way too big, breaks the bank, or, worse, something too small that just conks out 5 minutes in, or overheats. Not good.
Okay, so help us prioritize. What's usually on that must-run list? What keeps a family safe and, functional during a blackout?
Right. Top of the list almost always. Refrigeration. Got to save the food. Then, any critical medical devices. That's non-negotiable. After that, well, a reliable internet connection is pretty essential these days for info and communication. And some strategic lighting. Maybe a lamp or two. Oh, and if you're in a flood-prone area.
Sure.
Or deal with high winds, a sump pump jumps right to the top of that list. Immediately.
Okay, so you make the list. Then what? How do you figure out the power needed?
You got to check the labels. Every appliance has one. It'll list the wattage, that's W, or maybe the amperage, A. You find those numbers for everything on your short list, add them all up.
Simple enough so far.
But here's the crucial part. You need to add headroom, extra capacity.
Okay, headroom. Sounds like a safety margin, but you mentioned there's a specific physics reason for it. It's not just guessing.
Exactly. This is important. It's called starting surge or sometimes inrush current. See, anything with a motor, think fridge, freezer, well pump, even an AC unit needs a big jolt of power just to get started. Way more than it needs to just run.
Like a car engine turning over needs more juice initially.
Perfect analogy. A fridge might run at, say, 800 watts. But for that split second the compressor kicks on, it might pull 2,400 watts, maybe more. If your generator is only rated for 3,000 running watts, that surge could trip its breaker, or worse, damage the generator or the appliance. That headroom absorbs that surge smoothly. It's absolutely vital.
Got it. So doing that homework up front means you pick a solution that actually works for your life, your budget, avoids that overwhelmed feeling, trying to guess in the store. It's the shortcut to actually being prepared. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Once we've nailed down those numbers, the load calculation, then we can actually compare the different types of generators. Because power isn't just power, right? Especially with all the sensitive electronics in modern homes, the quality of the electricity matters.
Fantastic point.
Yeah.
Yes. Broadly, there are three main categories we look at. First, you've got your portable or open frame units. These are probably what most people picture.
Ones you see at campsites or construction sites?
Often, yeah. They're generally the most budget-friendly. They deliver a lot of raw wattage for the price. The downsides, they tend to be louder. And the electrical output, the sine wave, can be a bit rough, sometimes called dirty power. Fine for power tools, maybe not for your laptop.
Okay, so what's the alternative for cleaner power?
That brings us to inverter generators. These have become hugely popular, and for good reason. They're smart. The engine speed adjusts based on the load, so they sip fuel, run much, much quieter.
Quieter is definitely a plus in a neighborhood during an outage.
Huge plus. And crucially, they use electronics to clean up the power output. They produce a pure sine wave. That's the same quality of power you get from the wall outlet. It's essential for sensitive stuff. Laptops, TVs, smart appliances, medical equipment, things that can actually be damaged by that rougher power from an open frame.
Right, so maybe costs a bit more upfront, but potentially saves your expensive electronics.
Exactly. Then there's a third option, kind of the top tier,
Hmm.
the standby generator.
The ones that look like an air conditioning unit outside the house?
That's them. They sit permanently outside, usually hooked up to your natural gas line or a big propane tank. Their big advantage, automation. When the grid power fails, they detect it and start up automatically, usually within seconds.
Wow, okay, so no going outside in the storm to pull a cord.
Nope, they keep critical circuits powered without you doing anything. But it's a permanent installation, needs professional setup. And it has to be paired with something called an automatic transfer switch. We'll definitely get into that.
Okay, 3 main types. Portable, inverter, standby. Makes sense. That mention of natural gas for the standby units brings us right to the next big piece. Fuel. Fuel logistics can be a real headache if you don't plan ahead.
Oh, absolutely. It's often the forgotten part of the plan. Gasoline is, easy to find everywhere. But the big drawback, it goes bad quickly.
Right, it gets gummy, varnishes up the carburetor.
Exactly. Unless you're diligent about using fuel stabilizer and rotating your sock, it can cause real problems when you need the generator most.
Okay, so what about propane, like for BBQ tanks?
Propane is great. It stores incredibly well, practically indefinitely, doesn't degrade like gas. It's a good fit for standby units, or even some portable models are dual fuel now, running on gas or propane. Very flexible. If you already use propane, it's convenient.
And natural gas. You mentioned that for standby units.
Yeah, if you have a natural gas line to your house, it's the ultimate convenience for long run times. Like during a hurricane or major storm where power could be out for days, no refueling needed, just runs as long as the gas supply is on. But obviously, you need that utility connection near where the generator will sit.
Makes sense. Different fuels for different needs and situations.
But whichever fuel you choose, gas, propane storage safety is paramount.
Right. Can't just stash gas cans in the garage next to the water heater?
Absolutely not. Fuel must be stored safely outdoors, away from any ignition source, away from living spaces. Use approved safety cans, especially for gasoline. Keep it fresh.
Okay, let's shift gears fully into safety now. Because running these machines, especially engine-driven ones, improperly isn't just inconvenient, it can be fatal. What are the absolute non-negotiable rules for placement and operation?
Rule number 1, and it's ironclad. Any engine-driven generator, portable, inverter, doesn't matter, must be operated outdoors, on level ground. And crucially, at least 20 feet away from any doors, windows, vents, any opening into the house.
20 feet minimum.
Because of carbon monoxide, right, CO.
Precisely. CO is produced by the engine exhaust. It's invisible, odorless, and utterly deadly. It can build up inside a home incredibly quickly and incapacitate or kill people before they even realize what's happening. You can protect the generator from rain with an open-sided canopy, something specifically designed for it, but never, under any circumstances, run it in a garage, a carport, a basement, even with the door open. Just don't.
That CO risk is terrifying. Easily the biggest danger. But there's another huge one. Electrical risk. Particularly from doing hookups the wrong way. Let's talk about backfeeding.
Yes, this is critical. You absolutely cannot make a simple extension cord with 2 male ends and plug your generator into a regular wall outlet in your house.
That sounds incredibly dangerous just describing it.
It is. That's called backfeeding, and it's probably the single most dangerous electrical mistake you can make during an outage. What it does is send electricity from your generator backwards through your house wiring and out onto the utility lines.
The lines outside that are supposed to be dead. Exactly. So the utility crews who are out there working in potentially hazardous conditions to restore power think those lines are de-energized. If they touch a line that you've accidentally energized with your generator, they could be severely injured or killed. It's illegal for a reason. It's potentially lethal.
Wow. Okay. So how do you connect a generator safely to power circuits inside your house?
You need a transfer switch. This is non-negotiable for powering anything beyond just running a few extension cords directly from the generator. A licensed electrician, like the folks at Copperfield Electric, must install either a manual or an automatic transfer switch. What this device does is act like a big switch that completely disconnects your house's electrical system from the utility grid before it connects it to the generator.
So it physically makes it impossible to backfeed?
Correct. It isolates your home system, protects the line workers, protects your generator, protects your home's wiring. Absolutely essential.
And these transfer switches, they typically don't power the whole house, right? They're connected to specific dedicated circuits.
Usually, yes. especially with manual switches or smaller setups. When it's installed, you decide which circuits are critical. Definitely the refrigerator. Probably that sump pump if you have one vital during storms. Key lights, maybe an outlet for charging phones, medical devices. If you want to power something big like central AC, that requires a much larger generator and a more complex transfer switch setup, often an automatic one. That's a serious consultation with an electrician to size it correctly, because the starting surge on an AC unit is enormous. This actually brings us to a really smart approach that's becoming more popular, kind of middle ground, the smart hybrid setup.
A hybrid. Okay, what does that involve? Generator and something else?
Exactly. It usually combines a mid-size inverter generator, remember the quiet, efficient ones, with a small battery bank, like a UPS, but bigger, and a manual transfer switch.
Okay, inverter generator, batteries, manual switch. How does that work in practice? What's the benefit?
Flexibility, really, and quiet operation. Think about those short, annoying power flickers or brief outages. The battery bank can handle those instantly and silently. No need to even start the generator. And for longer outages. The batteries are fantastic at handling that initial starting surge from things like the fridge. They provide that kick smoothly, which is easier on the generator.
So the battery handles the tough startup, then the generator takes over the steady running.
Sort of. Or you can run the generator for just a few hours during the day, say in the afternoon, to power things directly and recharge the battery bank. Then you can shut the generator off completely overnight. The charged batteries can silently run the essentials fridge, maybe a light CPAP machine through the night.
Wow, okay, that saves a lot of fuel. And means a quiet night's sleep, which is huge during a stressful outage.
Exactly. Quiet, efficient, flexible. It's a really elegant solution for many homes.
Okay, so we've covered assessment, types, fuel, safety, hookups. What about keeping this gear ready? Long-term preparedness isn't just buying stuff, right? It's maintenance.
Oh, absolutely. You've hit it. Preparation is ongoing. Otherwise, you've just bought a very expensive, very heavy paperweight.
Yeah.
The habits are pretty simple, but you got to stick to them. First, test your gear. Run the generator under load. Plug something significant into it for maybe 15, 20 minutes once a month.
Keeps the engine parts lubricated, burns off any old fuel in the lines.
Precisely. And it confirms it actually starts. Next, oil changes. Follow the manufacturer's schedule. It's usually based on hours of runtime, but even just sitting, doing it maybe once a year is wise. Keep spares on hand. Air filter, spark plug, definitely fuel stabilizer if you use gasoline.
Check the cords, too, I imagine. Extension cords.
Critically important. Inspect them regularly for any cuts, fraying, damage to the plugs. If a cord looks damaged, replace it. Don't risk it. Use heavy-duty cords rated for the load you're carrying. And one more thing, maybe less obvious, but really helpful for the family.
What's that?
Label your main electrical panel. Clearly mark which breakers control the circuits that are backed up by the generator via the transfer switch. So if someone else needs to manage things during an outage, they know exactly which switches matter.
That's a great practical tip. Reduces confusion in a stressful time.
Okay, what about the money side? And regulations?
Right, budgeting. Don't just look at the sticker price of the generator. Think about the total cost of ownership, TCO.
Right, yeah.
That includes the generator itself, yes, but also the professional installation of the transfer switch. Maybe running a gas line, the fuel storage containers, the ongoing fuel costs, maintenance supplies.
Yeah.
It adds up. Plan for the whole picture.
And permits. I imagine you can't just slap a standby generator down and hook up a gas line yourself. Definitely not. Permits are almost always required for standby installations, for running new gas lines, and for any major electrical work like installing that transfer switch or upgrading your main panel. You need to check with your local city or county building department. It might seem like a hassle, but it ensures the installation is safe and up to code. Plus, sometimes there are actually tax breaks or rebates available for making these kinds of resiliency upgrades to your home. Worth looking into.
And that complexity, the permits, the code compliance, the safety aspect of installing transfer switches, this really hammers home why professional help is crucial, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is not a DIY weekend project for most people, especially the electrical side. Connecting to your main panel, ensuring that isolation from the grid that needs a qualified, licensed electrician. Which of course ties back to Copperfield Electric. They emphasize their electricians are background checked, licensed, insured, they offer guarantees on their work, competitive pricing, and they're available 24/7 for this kind of specialized service. When you're dealing with high voltage, natural gas lines, carbon monoxide risks, you want the peace of mind that comes with professional competence, period.
Okay, that really brings everything together nicely. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive on emergency power. The key takeaways seem clear. Start by really understanding your essential power needs, do that load calculation, remembering the starting surge. Then, choose the right type of generator and fuel source for your specific situation and budget. And above all, focus relentlessly on safety, correct placement, proper fuel handling, and absolutely getting that transfer switch installed professionally and legally.
That sums it up perfectly. Just to quickly recap those buying tips again, get enough wattage, especially for starting surges. Make sure your transfer switch and any extension cords can handle the generator's output. Keep your fuel fresh and store it safely outside. And remember that 20-foot rule minimum distance from any house opening for CO safety.
You know, the real promise here, the reason people invest in this equipment, it's peace of mind, isn't it? Preparation, doing that homework, turns what could be just expensive hardware into genuinely reliable backup power. Knowing you're ready lets you focus on taking care of your family during an outage, not scrambling with the fuse box or worrying about the freezer.
Well said. And maybe here's a final thought for you to consider, building on what we discussed. For many homes, maybe the best solution isn't actually the biggest, loudest generator you can find. Maybe it's that smart hybrid approach we talked about. That combination of a mid-size, quiet inverter generator paired with a small battery bank and a manual switch. Think about how embracing that kind of quiet, efficient flexibility could really change your whole experience the next time the power goes out for an extended period. Something to mull over.